Hello and welcome back to the Project Hercules Diaries on a typical English day, start of January, and it is raining and we're in for a very wet January and February looking at the long range forecasts. This is the top of the garage roof, which is flat, and unfortunately I have a bit of a leak. Yeah, rather extensive leak, and my original solution, rather elegant I thought, of just hanging a bucket above the or rather underneath the bit where it's leaking through the joist as a temporary fix was quite good, but it's now started to come through the gap in the boards there. So what I've done is to fashion a temporary gutter, but you've never seen this before, a gutter inside the garage, just to take that into a bucket in the corner, because it was going onto the new 540, which would have been a bit of a disaster, or a bit of a shame really, because although I've not used it yet, I'm sure it's a useful machine and I wouldn't want it to get spoilt. So at some point in the spring, or when the roofing company sort of wake up, I'll have to get that addressed. But in the meantime, we have done a couple of bits. Come have a look at this on the bike itself. Here, you may remember we said we were going to put the dummy mandrel in, which we've done, and bolt everything up so that's firm, there's no force to backwards play. The dummy mandrel's in, the drive and driven sprocket for the Dynastart is in, they line up quite nicely, and the pulley for the belt is on as well. So I'm just got a bit of chain here, and I'm going to get that chain to the right length, put this about where it's going to be when I have everything at the right distance apart, and just make sure that I've got the chain the right length. So I don't think it's got a split link, that chain. I think it's a permanent chain, so just a bit of cutting and shutting on the chain, and then at that point I can actually take the whole engine out. So take the manifold off, take the carb off, Dynastart off, take it out of the frame and start final assembly. Oh, hold on, I still need to make a head steady for it, but I think that could be done pretty much at any time. So there's only the head steady remaining, but then it can all come out for final assembly. And although it's not much of a day, it's a day where we could get in the shed and start something like this, or rather normally we would, but today is my little girl's birthday, so I probably won't be doing that this weekend. The last thing is something that Bob intends to do, because he raised the concerns, always thinking about this and that and the other. I'll go back to the drawing board and explain what that's all about. Actually cancel that, I don't need to go to the drawing board because it is right in front of us here. So the oil pump on the front here, this is the output from the oil pump where it drives the high pressure feed to feed the crankshaft, the big end, and also up to the sleeve drive crank to feed the ball that drives the sleeve. And it's drawing the oil from this level here, so it's drawing the oil a fair distance. This is a scavenge pump side of the pump to take oil out of the case, and Bob was a bit concerned while he was away just doing a few mullings over at night that on the Norton, this is a Norton oil pump, it generally scavenges about half that distance. So we're expecting the pump, or we're asking it to draw the oil twice as far up from the sump. Now I did point out to Bob that actually we're only drawing the oil this distance vertically, not this distance, because we've rotated the engine to 23 degrees and we've drilled this pickup hole further down, because as you rotate the engine round, this pickup hole, this hole ascends vertically as it comes round the circle, and that affects the oil level. So that's the oil level we wanted to have. If the engine was in a vertical position as drawn, that's where we would have drilled the hole through from the other side of the case to pick up the oil. We've actually drilled the hole as close as we can to the bottom of the case, and that's because we've got the engine length forward. I think it's 23.5 degrees. So what Bob intends to do is to make a little aluminium casing that we can bolt this to, with the distance from the bottom of the case with the hole drilled through to the oil pickup is the same as the distance in the actual engine. Then we can turn it round with a hand drill, or with a battery operated drill, and just make sure that it does recover oil over that distance, rather than wait until the engine's assembled and then have a problem with everything smoking like Billy O and oil pouring out, because we wouldn't want that. If that is the case, then it's a fairly simple matter of swapping out the worm gear here, the worm and wheel, with a set of skew gears. And if we use a different ratio skew gear, then we'll be driving the oil pump at a faster RPM, and that should resolve the problem. But I don't think we're going to need to do that. Currently we're about 1/5 of engine speed, which is the same as a standard Norton. But if that is going to be a problem, then we'll change the skew gears on here and on here, and it shouldn't be a showstopper. But Bob wants to test it. I would just test it with a couple of straws in a cup, but I think Bob wants to make a manifold. So that's something I'll leave with Bob. I'm going to crack on, if I get time today, with mounting the chain and the rest of the Dynastart, and crossing my fingers that leak up there does not get any worse. There we go, that's the update for today. Thanks for watching as ever. More updates will follow.